The Last of Us is the critically acclaimed 2013 PlayStation exclusive video game. It garnered droves of success, a massive fan base, 9.8 stars out of 10 on IMDb, a critic rating of 95 on Metacritic, with the users voting 9.2 out of 10, and an IGN rating of 10 out of 10. Jokes aside, it seems like everyone, or almost everyone, loves this game, and I can't blame them. So, without prolonging the inevitable, I'm going to explain why this is one of my favourite games ever. A few more details about The Last of Us, aside from it being critically acclaimed. The Last of Us was a new IP created by Naughty Dog in around 2010, with the game being released in 2013 in June. The Last of Us is a third-person survival horror/action game set in post-apocalyptic 2033, where you play as Joel, a 50-something-year-old man, and Ellie, a 14-year-old girl that Joel is tasked with caring for. The game follows the two as they embark on a monumentally long journey across a ravaged America, seemingly lifeless due to a cataclysmic infection 20 years prior. Throughout their journey from Boston to Salt Lake City, they encounter hunters, cannibals, allies, and most importantly, the infected. There are 4 types of infected. The runner, which are the newly infected. Not many signs of infections, but definitely infected. The Stalker, which is the bridge between the runner and the next class. Stalkers are a pain because they can see and hear you regardless of where you are. Next are the Clickers. They can't see you, but if you make any noise they will hear you, and it's pretty hard to defend yourself after that. They have some of the most iconic sound design in video games as well. And finally you have the Bloater. These large, ugly clickers with fungal plates growing all over them. They're extremely strong and very dangerous. You best come prepared if you encounter one. So with all that in mind, I'm going to give my opinions on The Last of Us. I played The Last of Us for the first time in October 2017. So yeah, I haven't been one of those fans who's been around since the game came out, and to be honest, I'm glad for it for a few reasons. First is that when The Last of Us came out, I wasn't really interested in watching any of the Let's Plays. I was 11 years old when the game came out, and if I'd watched the playthroughs then, the game probably wouldn't have had the same impact on me. So, as well, I had no clue on how impactful the game would be when I finally played it. More importantly, I didn't have to wait half a decade for a sequel like the rest of you. This one kind of goes without saying. Anyone who's played the game will tell you that the story is amazing. I'm pretty sure that God wrote this story. The characters are believable and human, the world is interesting, nothing feels forced. The way they structured their story is complete genius, making the players build their relationship alongside Ellie at the same speed that Joel does is such a simple but effective concept. Every story beat hits so resonantly and will stick with you forever. The season-based story of summer to fall to winter, which is my least favourite and most favourite, and spring. It gives the story a lot more volume, despite the fact you only play a fraction of it. This game has such clear themes and messages and will teach you some serious lessons about humanity, human morals, and most importantly, love. If you didn't at least almost cry once during your gameplay, you're either a corpse or a liar. Earlier in this segment I mentioned something very important, and without it, this game would be nothing. The characters and their performers are all stellar. Personally, I can't think of a weak link, so I'm going to go over the main characters and a few side characters. First, you've got Joel. I don't think Troy Baker could have done a better job playing this character. His motivations are clear and you can't help but sympathise with his choices, and even in the ending, You might not agree with what he does, but you do understand him. Troy Baker's emotional performance carries the whole character. He's badass, gruff, and most importantly, extremely human. I have no criticism. Troy is one of the greats. Next you have Ellie. Ashley Johnson also completely rocks her role. She's incredibly underrated as well, since when the game came out, everyone thought she was Ellen Page. She's an outstanding and interesting character, played by a really cool person. If you'd like to see more of her, she's on a D&D podcast called Critical Role. It's pretty cool. Despite the incredibly short amount of time you know some of these characters in the scale of the full story, you feel like you've known people like Bill and Tess for years, as the performances of W. Earl Brown and Annie Wershing were incredible and unbelievably upsetting in one instance.
What just happened?
Another one of Bill's stupid traps!
When you meet Henry and Sam, it feels like a blessing to you that you have some friendly helping hands, and once again, amazing performances from Brandon Scott and Naji Jeter, who once again provide some very compelling and emotional moments. And then you've got David. David is arguably the worst and the best character in this whole game. Like most characters in this game, you only know him for a short while, and he still remains incredibly compelling. He's the first singular bad guy you have to face in the game, rather than the infected or the hunters. David is his own villain. However, even Troy Baker doesn't see David as a bad guy, which, as a friend said to me, quote, "He's sort of right. In the game's universe, there is no moral high ground to stand on. Yeah, what David does would be frowned on by today's society, but surely killing 76 people not even halfway through a city in less than an hour would be too." End quote. Did I mention that Nolan North is the best voice actor of all time? Also fun fact is that everyone in Critical Role except for Marisha Ray and Taliesin Jeff is in this game. Have you gotten the hint yet? Go look up Critical Role. Anyone who knows me, even in the slightest, knows that one of my favourite things about this game is that the setting is just fantastic. Personally, I am a massive fan of the idea of man-made creations being taken back by nature, and this game just captures it so perfectly and elegantly. I'd almost rather live in a world like that, just to see all these concrete structures fall to nature. For example, the tilted building in the opening area of Boston is just amazing. Seeing that giant building just wrecked by human neglection and nature's desire to reclaim it. The part of the game that takes place in Pittsburgh is even better at encapsulating the idea of nature, taking back all of these fallen buildings and flooded buildings, and then all these cars that are submerged in water and covered in moss, and it's just quite gorgeous. And it shows that humanity isn't what we think it is, and that it could fall very quickly. In the documentary talking about The Last of Us' creation, they mentioned how if the New York water system went unmanaged for more than 2 days, the entire city would flood, so the concept of stuff like that happening isn't completely unheard of. And if you're anything like me, and if you completely adore the idea of decay and how beautiful it truly can be, fittingly there is a book called Beauty and Decay, which has a bunch of really nice pictures and interesting bits of text that describe the whole aesthetic of decay and its true beauty. I think it's worth it if you go and buy that book, or at least check it out. There's probably some pictures from it online, and some of those pictures would just fit perfectly in The Last of Us. Ooh, the sound design section. This'll be the easiest one for me to record. I'm going to play you a few sound clips with no visuals, and I'm almost sure you're going to be able to picture exactly what's happening. I don't think I need to say much more. As you've probably noticed, I've been using the game's soundtrack in the transition slides and in the background of this video. I'll be doing the same for most of the games I discuss in this series. The music is one of the best things about this game. Every single piece conveys the mood so well. The music is so good partially because the composer, Gustavo Santaolalla, was working on the music from the game's early conception, so the music was essentially shaping the tone of the scenes in the game. Even better is that half of the instruments you hear in the game's OST, Gustavo has never played before and doesn't know how to play. He simply plays instruments how he thinks they might be played, and it always comes out amazing. Apart from that, again, there isn't really much I need to say. The gameplay is excellent. For example, the puzzles, which are dynamic, and by the time that they become more challenging, the mechanics are familiar, so it is exponentially satisfying to solve them. Speaking of satisfying, the melee combat is my next point. When you hit someone with a wooden plank, for instance, as Joel, so much weight and power is added to it, and you just feel the impacts you dish out. And it's mostly due to the fantastic animations and referring back to the great sound design. The range combat is also pretty good. The weapons feel powerful and almost like a rare commodity, so you do feel so much stronger in the possession of a ranged weapon in the game, almost lucky since in that world guns would be scarce. My go-to ranged weapons in this game are El Diablo, which is a pistol with the power and brutality equivalent to the Executioner from Black Ops 2, which with a good shot can kill in one hit. My other weapons would be the shotgun because of its quick usage and high power. And my final go-to is the hunting rifle, which me and a friend found out is powerful enough to kill a bloater in 3 good shots. But for stealth sections, especially involving clickers, the bow and arrow should definitely be what you use. But that aiming system, that aiming system, which they seem to have fixed in the sequel, judging by the gameplay trailer. Other ranged weapons include Molotovs, nail bombs, and smoke bombs, which are useful for different situations. Speaking of stealth sections, the AI, being as smart as it is, makes those sections so incredibly tense. Having to cover and time your movements correctly, which, if you mess up, could result in you being thrust into more of a dodge bullets and don't die kind of situation. If you attract a clicker without enough ammo though... One little detail that blew my mind was how if you shine your light towards Ellie or any other companions in the game, they will squint and cover their eyes. I thought it was just a really nice detail and adds so much humanity to the people in this world. So, as you can probably tell, I have a lot of positive opinions about The Last of Us, but me and a few friends have one issue with the game. Part 2 is gonna make it look awful. Now hear me out, that's from a gameplay standpoint only, and it relies on the gameplay at E3 actually being like it was portrayed. But oh my god, that Part 2 gameplay, where she was underneath the bus, I was like, ooh, prone, and then she went in the grass as well, that was cool, and then the NPC dragged her underneath from the bus, I was like, what? And then she ran away and grabbed the bottle and then threw it while she was running and then used the person as a human shield. I just lost it, I didn't know what to think. And then the guy shot through the window and the window smashed, that looked really cool. And then the huge hammer, it smashed the shelf and everything fell off the shelf. That looked really awesome, I didn't know what to think. And then she dodged the arrow and then the exploding arrow. Oh my god, I cannot wait. Let me show you a few things I might have missed in that rant. If the game is anything like this, Part 1 is hopelessly unmatched.
Listen to me. If I get into trouble down there, you make every shot count.
This is one of the best games I've ever played, hence it being on this show. It's got an amazing story, amazing characters, amazing music, amazing gameplay, amazing almost everything, except for that aiming system. That's what dropped my rating from a 10 out of 10 to a 9.9 out of 10. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of That Game Was Great. Leave a like and subscribe and turn on notifications because episode 2 will be out in 2 weeks. Next episode is about... Hello guys, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it and you're looking forward to episode 2 on LEGO Batman the video game. No, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm actually really proud of that because I've been sitting on this series for about 3 years, so it's about time that I made it, and I think Last of Us was a good way to kick it off. So I'd actually like to touch on something a little more serious, and I'm sorry I'm saying serious in like pajama clothes. Sorry I haven't made myself very presentable. But I'd like to dedicate this video to XXXTentacion. If you didn't know, X was a Miami rapper who unfortunately was shot in the neck and killed on Monday the 18th of June, which was 4 days ago as of recording this video. And I've been a fan of X for since 2016, and I was quite upset to hear that he passed. And I'd just like I said, to dedicate this video to him, and I'd also like to say that I'd like you, if you're going to comment in the comments, please talk about the video and not about this dedication, because just ignore the fact of his questionable action in the past, and just think that this was a young man, 20 years old, trying to better himself, who was then stopped dead in his tracks and killed. So now any chance of him redeeming himself is gone, because he's unfortunately dead. So without any disrespect, if you don't like that I've dedicated this video to him because I'm a fan, then don't say anything. Don't say that he deserved to die, which is a lot of people are saying that. It's just not fair. It's a young man who has died. He's less than 4 years older than me. So think about if you were in that position. You don't want to die at 20, I'm almost sure. So just be respectful. Be respectful that a young man has died. Be respectful that I am a fan and I want to dedicate something to an idol of mine. And I know that the Last of Us wasn't his favourite game. The Witcher is his favourite game. But I just wanted to dedicate this video to him. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Rest in peace, X.